My last upload was this same round at Knollwood Old Course, but I just did it with no narration. So I figured because I'm not able to golf outside anymore in this oh so cold Canadian winter, I'm just going to walk through this round again and actually talk about some of these shots. So here I am on the opening tee. This is a short par 4 that I'm just trying to lay up a driver to stay a little bit short of the green. I pulled it a bit off to the right. If I would have stayed straight, it had a chance to bounce off that hill and even closer. But from this range, it's just about trying to get on the green and start the day with a confident hole. So I'm able to use the 60 degree, ends up a little bit shorter than I would have liked. Part of that you have to compensate when you're playing in the cold is that the ball just simply does not fly the way you're used to in mid-season for sure. And I'm just leaving myself with a relatively straightforward putt here. It leaks off a little bit to the left at the end, and that is a tap-in par to start the day. And that leads to the second hole, which is a par 3. Now the pin is kind of center green on this day, which means I have to draw over these trees on the left. And in all honesty, playing this in the fall makes it a lot less intimidating, because when this is mid-season, those trees are nice and full and it feels like you really can't miss. So I was able to draw it a little bit around where I wanted on my line, but because of the cold, I ended up really short here. So it was at this hole that I realized I was going to need to club up at least one club, if not two, on some of the holes for the rest of the day. So there's another straightforward tap-in par, and through 2 holes, really what I'm trying to do is just gain some of that intel. So here I am on a long par 3. It's about 200 yards, and normally I would use a 4 hybrid here, but because of the way that last hole went, I clubbed up to my 5 wood. Just a nice easy swing. I was trying to fade it in to the left and it didn't quite draw, but you can see that I ended up pin high, so clubbing up 1 was exactly what I needed to do. And what you're seeing here is actually a great example that I put in one of my shorter, actually YouTube shorts, no pun intended, videos where I've been working on a little bit more of a chipping technique that I picked up from a Dan Grieve video. And if you want to go take a look at that, I think it would be really helpful, because that helped me pick out the perfect club to just chip that nice and close, tap in par, and I am even through 3 on the day. And if you've watched any of my videos, one thing I am constantly talking about is that I like to make some easier decisions on the golf course, especially as I'm getting older. You know, I'm 40 years old at this point, and I'm not about trying to chase distance. I just want to play consistently. So this is another example where off the tee, I just used my 5 wood. I could have tried to use a 3 wood to get a little bit closer to the green, but it really wasn't going to pay off. The risk reward there, if you miss it off too much to the right, it's just a disaster. So I lay up a little bit further back here, and now I leave myself another 60 degree pitch on. I tried to come a little bit lower in here and see if I could hit and release because of the first hole coming up a little bit shorter than I anticipated, but I just didn't judge it properly here. And although this looks like a pretty straightforward putt, for some reason you'll see as I putt this thing, the ball just does not slow down. It just keeps going past the hole, and I did not anticipate it to keep rolling that far. So although this should be another tap-in par, oh, I just missed that off to the side. Not a great 3 putt, but +1 through 4 is not bad for me. So this next hole is a short par 5. I got a little bit lazy here as I'm trying to sort of like slice a driver and cut the corner here. And you can see I kind of hit the corner and got stuck in it. So instead of being able to go for this green in 2, what I just have to do is take my medicine and punch out into the fairway. And you can see I'm kind of working on this little almost like pitchy, chippy slice that I'm trying to get around a tree here. You won't have a great shot of the angle I'm playing on because I couldn't set my camera up right behind where I was, but I'm just going to quickly hit the ball, run over and turn the camera here so you can sort of see what I was working around. I did manage to get past that corner right out into the middle of the fairway, and I'm only about 145 yards to the green, so I did club up to an 8-iron here, but for some reason I kind of second-guessed myself and I didn't give it a full swing. So even though I knew from the last few holes that clubbing up by 1 was going to be confident, I kind of held back there. So if I would have hit that 8-iron full, I probably would have been much closer to the hole than just that sort of 3/4 shot that I pulled back on. So that first putt is, again, not an ideal one. I leave that way too far past the hole, and now I'm staring back-to-back 3 putts in the face, and I'm really hoping that I find some luck here, and I do. So thankfully that par putt drops, because that would have been a really frustrating thing to try and come back from. I wiped the metaphorical sweat away from my face because, if anything, it was so cold that was just ice forming on my brow. Not a great driver swing on this short par 4, but after topping it, I did get quite a bit of roll, and I end up only about 160 odd yards away from the green. And I do club up to my 7-iron this time, just don't hit it very well. It pulls off to the right hand side, so I have a really tricky pitch up onto this elevated green. You don't really have a good camera angle of it here, so you'll see after I hit it, I just kind of like run up and give you a little bit of a look. It ended up being pretty nice actually, so I'm just a couple of feet beyond the hole there. This gives me a chance to, again, try and keep a little bit of momentum going here with a couple back-to-back holes now where I wasn't really hitting the ball well, whether it was cold or whether it was just sort of the way things go at the end of the season. It doesn't really matter, but luckily I'm somewhat dialed in on these putts. There's that 1 3 putt I had, but I make another really clutch par putt here, and now I'm +1 through 6 and putting together a pretty decent round, all things considered. That brings us to another short par 5. One of the things that I love about this Knollwood Old Course is that it gives you a chance to be a little bit aggressive, and I end up shooting often a little bit lower than my normal scores just because it's not a very long course. But that driver swing was a little bit off to the right hand side. It didn't get the cut that I wanted, so I'm left just laying up with a 5-wood here into the fairway. And now I've got a 52-degree approach that I'm trying to come in a little bit low because this is an elevated green. It's kind of deceiving for the eye, and I didn't hit it great, so I ended up right on the front of the green, quite far away. And another really long putt that's just been the bane of my existence for these last few holes. Really wasn't finding the pace here. So we'll see if I can make 3 straight clutch par putts. And I do not this time, so there is the second bogey of the day. Just tap that in, but what can you really complain about when you are playing your last outdoor round of a season? If you were watching this from anywhere that you get to golf year-round, you don't understand this feeling. But I can tell you, as a Canadian, this final round of a season just feels different. You're not really stressed out. So even though you can see here I've got a couple bad shots that I'm hitting on this short par 4, I'm not really getting upset with myself in this round because, as you can see, it's a beautiful sky day. Lots of sun is out for me. My double winter gloves are already off because I'm starting to warm up from walking this course, and I'm just enjoying the experience. So I've kind of gone off on a tangent here, and I'm not even really narrating this hole anymore because, from looking at statistics, I don't even know how many people are still sticking around this far into the video. So if you are still here watching me finish off, this 8th hole with another bogey, that's now back-to-back and +3 through 8, I'd really appreciate it if you just click a like, maybe consider subscribing. I will be putting up some indoor rounds throughout the off-season, but my hope is that I can be a bit more regular with recording some outdoor rounds once 2026 rolls around. So enjoy this 9th hole where it is a drivable par 4 that I was pretty good on the distance, but just ended up pulling a little bit off to the right. So I'm trying to channel this good chipping, but I didn't quite compensate for how this thing was going to spin and hit the little ridge that was there. So it does end up being a little bit short, but that is a birdie putt. The best chance I've had to look at a birdie today. Great way to finish. Oh, but it doesn't quite do it. That's a stress-free par though. So I did play the other 9 holes. I didn't get a chance to record those ones. So hopefully you enjoyed watching this one, and have yourselves a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.